What's up? This your man Mustache Dave. This is After Hours with Mustache Dave, joined today by a new member of a new squad, right? Really recently, TheProneWarrior. How's it going, man?
It's going really well, thank you. How about yourself?
Oh, it's doing good. My day's just starting out pretty much, so lots of things to do. But let's dive right into this. Like I mentioned, new roster, new team, Team Gates. If I didn't mention it, let's just dive right into this. So how's it like? Being on a new roster for Team Gates EU.
Oh, I mean, it's really, really, really good, really exciting. We've got a lot of potential, and sort of being part of such a large organization, it really gives us that foundation to go forward into esports for PUBG.
Okay. Yeah, I know Team Gates, they have a couple teams spread across PUBG Online alone as far as a contender series. Right now, like I mentioned, you guys brand new, so you're actually in the open series, grinding your way up the leaderboards. Let's talk about your new roster and maybe the roles and what you guys have. If you're soft roles, hard roles, I don't really know. Some squads, they don't believe in it, some do. Lay it on me, man. What's up?
I mean, me personally, as you said there, sort of the medic and the sniper kind of role, we're not too fond of. We're not that kind of team. We don't really give certain roles to certain people. We just play, not really individually, but say if we get an equal amount of, say, first aid kits, we're not going to go and give them all to one person and call him the medic. Okay. In my opinion, it doesn't really work like that. But yeah, with such a new roster, the roster members at the moment, Anonymous, Rotraket, and Tinny, and myself, being the EU team captain, and it's looking really, really good. Anonymous, he's been playing for many teams, sort of subbing for them. So if you know Team PogChamp, with Fosto Copy and New and Hardcore.
Yeah.
And he's been subbing for many teams sort of like that. Tinny, on the other hand, he's more of he's quite sort of not that well known in terms of PUBG, but he has a lot of hours on the game. He's an exceptional player. But the one thing about all the players which I really, really want in a competitive esports team is a good attitude and dedication. And if you've got those two things, you can go really, really far, and that goes for any team.
All right. And so what's pretty much what's your gaming history? What led up to this moment in your career right now, becoming the pro player that you are? Any games that you can kind of contribute to, where you are today?
Well, I personally came from Arma 3 Battle Royale. There used to be people like This Games, Drake used to play Arma 3, all those kind of players. I came from the same sort of background as them. I used to play in the community games, a bit like custom games in PUBG, but they're called community games in Arma, which Vish used to sort of do, and I used to play in those every week. A lot of fun. But with Arma 3 Battle Royale, it sort of gives you the foundation to move on to PUBG. It gives you the idea about positioning, gunplay, and sort of having a smart tactical awareness, whereas more sort of like, if you come from a different sort of game, obviously I won't like belittle this, but like H1Z1, I mean, it's not my personal favorite. I can understand why people like it, but I feel, with Arma 3 Battle Royale, it gives you more of a tactical sort of play and awareness, and it's a lot more realistic. So it gives you that realism which you get in PUBG at times as well.
All right. I respect that. I did play some H1Z1, but it's just a different game, really. I mean, they're different games. Yeah. I really can't compare. And so you made mention of it. You are the team captain for Team Gates. What does that mean? What does it mean being a team captain? What type of things do you do? What's your daily job duties, if you don't mind, letting us know?
Well, as a team captain, it can be quite sort of full on at times. You've got to make sure all the players are happy, all satisfied, all getting along. You've got to quite in close contact with the team manager, who's constantly looking over you and seeing how the team is doing.
Yeah.
But as the EU team captain, it's quite full on, and it's sort of your what's the word? It's your it's your responsibility. That's the word, responsibility, to make the team sort of be pulled together and perform. And that's sort of my job, to make sure our team performs. It's got the morale, it's got the team chemistry, and they're willing to do anything.
All right, so would you say there's a lot of pressure on you? I mean, it's a new squad. You guys are just starting out. You're with the big organization. Do you feel this pressure, or is it kind of just you're just so excited that it doesn't really bother you?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of pressure on us at the moment. Sort of our team manager really sort of wants us to get into contenders, which is we all definitely think is possible to do. It's definitely in reach. And as I mentioned Anonymous before, he used to play in Showdown and he fared quite well in that kind of thing. And our other players are quite experienced in their own right. So yeah, we can definitely do it. But it's a lot of pressure you've got on the team to sort of perform. And sometimes you may have days which aren't as good as others, which you will have in this game.
Yeah.
And you've just got to sort of take it on the chin and move forward.
Yeah, I like that. Take it on the chin. So for the EU, squad of Team Gates, you made mention of it. One of your goals, make it into contenders. That's just a goal that you guys all agree on. What other goals maybe do you guys have set right now? Like, what other tournaments are you planning on participating in? Like, how spread out are you guys as far as the tournaments that you choose to take part in and whatnot?
So our first milestone, if you would, is like getting into contenders, and from there we want to just go upwards and onwards to the Showdown series in PUBG Online, as far as that goes. But we want to be playing in Awesome. We want to be playing in the GLL. GLL we had to unfortunately back out of very, very early on in the season due to an incomplete roster and loads of other things with work commitments, which is a shame, but we're looking to get back into that now. Everything's been sorted. We've also gonna look to do just the normal sort of tournaments like X pools, possibly, if you've ever heard of X pools. And X PUBG. We do those as just a bit of competitive practice, nothing too strenuous, but it's always good to get the practice in. But also, I think our absolute biggest goal for our whole team, and we all want this as much as any other team does, is to go to a LAN event. So, if we went to IEM this year, that would have been amazing. But obviously, with the circumstances, we couldn't have. But with other sort of like LAN tournaments, which are going to be in the future, so possibly Gamescom next year, you may potentially see us there.
Yeah. I mean, after IEM, I predict a lot more LAN events definitely going to be springing up everywhere.
Yeah.
So the competition is going to be fierce at those events alongside the online events. So we kind of talked about shop a little bit. Team Gates for the EU don't really have roles yet. You are the team captain. We talked about your future plans. So, man, you have quite the list of things to do, because I mean, you guys are pretty much just starting out. And wow. So let's see. Let's talk about some strategies right now. As a team captain, all right, what type of preparations go into maybe prepping your squad? Like, do you watch other games, like reruns, VODs of other squads? I mean, this question is going to add on to my next one, but what type of preparations go into, just being that new squad? Like, do you study footage? I mean, what do you guys do? Or you just play nonstop, like 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day?
Well, our practice usually consists of around 4 hours a day. All the practice at the moment is solely on Open Series, getting the results on the board and sort of going forward with that. But in terms of prepping for a tournament, it's always good to sort of look at what you want to achieve in that tournament. We always sort of talk to ourselves, talk to each other, sort of go, what do you want to get from this tournament? And usually the answer is win. Yeah. And if you visualize it and if you prepare for it, and you go in there with a positive, good attitude, we win. That's what's been happening in the Open Series of the past week. We've been getting top 10 consistently, and quite a few wins in the Open Series, which has been going really, really well for us. But also, in terms of prepping, as you said, the sort of looking at footage we sometimes do. I'm quite fond of doing that, going into Awesome, the Lobby 1 teams, just seeing what they sort of do. And teams like TSM and Alliance, people like that, they're really tactically minded. And so it's really good to watch those kind of teams and see what they do. But even, just watching your average streamer. So me personally, I really like watching Brett. And I feel, he's a really, really strong tactical player. And I sort of watch him and see his sort of mentality towards the game and what he brings to the table.
All right. And you made mention of this. This was actually my next question. Open Series, who's your strongest competition right now on the EU leaderboards, if you had one? I mean, I know Open Series is it's a toss-up, right, as far as the squads go. But if you had a rival, if you've been in gunfights with this particular rival a couple times, possibly, would you say you have a strong competition in there? If you had to list one squad in particular.
I think not really a particular squad apart from G2. I would say if you know G2, they're an esports team.
Yeah.
We've been into a couple fights with them. They've won some fights. We've won others. It's not really any particular competition. There's a lot of the teams in the Open Series are genuinely quite unknown.
Yeah.
And obviously want to make a name for themselves, and progress in the PUBG online. But no, not really.
Okay. Well, how about this question then? Moving on to Contender. Would you guys have a team that you're excited to maybe verse? I mean, does Team Gates have this hidden rival with another organization that people just don't know about? Or am I just overthinking this?
I mean, I think as far as teams go, we see it as everyone's our rival.
Yeah.
Everyone's a good team. We go into tournaments going, right, we're not going to put anyone down. We're not going to say, oh, this team's shit or this team's crap, anything like that. We always go, right, every team is very, very good. And we do not underestimate them at all. And we do that with every team. If there had to be a team in PUBG Online at the moment, which we would like to face, it will probably be Team PogChamp, who are now known, I think, as Team Digital.
Yeah.
And Method. Definitely those two teams. We'd really like to get up against them. And we've been involved in gunfights against Team PogChamp before.
Okay.
And they've beat us every time, but we look to settle the score on that.
All right. That's fair. That's kind of what I was fishing out right there. I'm trying to get this rival going. So Team PogChamp for sure. I'm going to be sitting here waiting for that. I forgot one simple question before we throw it to break. How'd you get your name, TheProneWarrior? How'd that come about? How'd that come about, man?
That's quite a funny story. That it started off in Arma 3 Battle Royale. I used to just be called James, just my normal real name, just James. And one day in this games is pack games, as he called them back in the day.
Yeah.
I was prone in a shed, a little shack with a little Uzi with about 60 bullets in it, and the best player in Arma 3 Battle Royale at the time was playing in the pack games. He had tier 3 everything. He was very, very well geared. He had the best guns, everything like that. And I'm just here with my little ATV, no vest, nothing, my little micro Uzi, and I'm prone. And he walked straight into the shack, and I just kill him. And after the thing, I just start getting called TheProneWarrior, and that's how I got it.
Nice, dude. Nice. If you're gonna get a payback one day. I already know someone's gonna be prone in a bush and go walk by. This is gonna shotgun you out there on the battlefield.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. The most funny thing I think has happened in PUBG so far was I was in a public game, and it was the most inopportune time because we were playing just randomly.
Yeah.
And we start getting shot at behind the rock. So I go prone behind the rock, and ironically, Break killed me while I was prone behind the rock. And so his whole chat just starts screaming. I look at the chat history, and it just starts going, "Oh, ProneWarrior, prone." And, sort of it's how ironic I got killed while being prone. But the way it goes sometimes.
That's your style, man. You'll always be prone on the battlefield. Okay, serious note though. Talk about proning out there. A lot of people, they say it's a disadvantage, just because it limits your view distance. I mean, compared to crouching, right? I mean, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, your name is TheProneWarrior, but do you really find yourself out there proning a lot, or do you just tend to crouch instead?
Not at all. I never ever sort of prone unless we absolutely have to. So, say for example, there's a house and there's a guy on the top floor shooting at you, and the only thing you can do, and there's no cover around you, and the only thing you can do is go prone to hide from him. Then that's what you do. That's the only time I would ever go prone. As far as crouching is concerned, I would say that crouching behind sort of low walls and cover like that is really, really good, because obviously it covers you from the enemy, and you can just peek up and down just to go and see what's around. But with crouch running, crouch walking, that kind of thing, I would never ever do, as I've seen people do it in public matches. Just there's an open field and they just decide to crouch walk, thinking that it will be they'll be less visible. Yeah. But no, not really. They're just an open target.
Yeah, an easier target at that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So all right. Yeah, I was wondering that, because I used to prone a lot, but that was back before I became the player I am today. But because I like proning. But the only time that I would say proning is needed, all right, there's a full squad, maybe even 2 full squads. You're by yourself. Circle's moving up. Take off that backpack. Snake into that circle, man. Just definitely into the circle. Just for placements wise. I mean, you might not get the squad wipe or whatnot, but the chances of you not being seen are definitely great. So we're going to throw it to a quick break. We're at the halfway mark. We'll be right back. This is After Hours with Mustache Dave, joined this evening with TheProneWarrior from Team Gates EU squad. All right, be right back, guys.
Your squad is ready for you to lead them through. With Johnny 7 OMA, you charge. Fire grenade. Bullseye for Johnny 7. Watch out, tank. Fire anti-armor shell. Fire anti-tank rocket. Johnny 7's got him on the run. Johnny 7 fires bullets like a rifle. Fires like a Tommy gun. Now it's a cap-firing pistol. You've won with Johnny 7, the one-man army gun. It's 7 guns in one. Let's count them. 1 is a grenade launcher. 2 anti-armor gun. 3 anti-tank gun. 4 bullet-firing rifle. 5 Tommy gun. 6 anti-bunker gun. 7 cap-firing pistol. There's no other gun like it. To be sure, look for Johnny 7 OMA, the one-man army by Topper.
What's up? This is Mustache Dave here. This is After Hours with Mustache Dave, joined this evening by TheProneWarrior right here. He's sitting in a chair right now. He's not proning. How's it going, man? How's it going?
It's going very, very well, thank you.
All right. First of all, thank you for taking the time to sit here and talk to this guy with the mustache tonight. I appreciate you scheduling me in. But let's get back to just basic shop talk, basic PUBG talk, right? Picking your brain, I guess you could say. And then I'll ask you some questions regarding IEM, because it is this weekend. I mean, it's coming up. The 18th, November 18th, November 19th. So it's 4 days away. All right, so Team Gates EU squad. I keep referring to you as the EU squad just because there's NA, EU, and
there's an EU squad.
Yeah. So I just want to be a little specific as far as Team Gates EU. All right, Trick2G, is this his squad? I mean, I was wondering. I saw him play in the Contender Series with the NA squad. What's his role? I'm just curious. What's his role with Team Gates?
He actually sort of backs and owns Team Gates, and if Trick2G wasn't involved, Team Gates wouldn't exist. But as far as Trick2G is concerned, he's not really got a massive part in the organization.
All right, so he's just a major backer.
Yeah, definitely.
Is the organization named after him though? I mean,
good question. I actually don't know.
all right. That's fair. I mean, I was just curious. It was a curious question.
Yeah.
All right. So as far as strategies go, right now there's a couple metas going on. I guess I'll pick your brain, and I'll be watching you guys perform. I can't spectate in the open series, but once we get into contender series, just watching, just to kind of follow along with that mindset and what you guys are in. All right. So like I was saying, the current metas that we see a lot of: centering versus edging. What type of style, if you guys do have a particular style, would you say that you follow when it comes to those two different play styles?
We always would go with centering, purely because when you're in the center, typically in the building or a very good hillside or something like that, you've got the best cover, because in a house it's 360 degrees cover. You can revive your teammates at will. You're on any particular sort of pressure or stress, and you could just shoot people out the window. You've got everything you want, as opposed to going on the edge, and the edge is a lot more risky because there's a lot of teams come late into the circle from playing sort of the blue strat, and sort of maybe shoot you in the back, or teams in front of you possibly backtracking to the edge of the circle and killing you. Also, at the edge, there's not much cover. You'll find at sometimes the edge might be on a sort of like open field, or a hay field, anything like that, quite open. And you might not have much cover, but that sort of goes with the game in the whole RNG aspect of where the circle's going to go. And the beauty of going into the center is that you can actually almost counter the RNG aspect somewhat and be able to sort of stay in the circle for a longer period of time, and you're not really at any pressure or stress to get into the circle or anything like that, unless the circle shrinks dramatically north or south, which happens relatively a lot.
Okay, yeah. I tend to see actually right now a lot of people say it's 50-50, which I'm surprised about, because I too also a believer of the centering strat. I just think it's a safer way to go, like you said, because if you're playing the edge, you could be on the east side, you're looking good, right? You have the cover, you're actually taking shots, maybe even downed another squad, got them out, eliminated them, but then next thing you know, circle's on the opposite end, and then you're just forced to pretty much run through all those squads that are already centered from previous circle, and you just leave yourself open to getting shot pretty much from anywhere.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so all right. So okay, what I was gonna get to, you made mention of this inside the center. You take a lot of shots back and forth, maybe with other squads that might be in the center as well in another compound. I always sit back and watch this, and I wonder why they're exactly doing this. Because you don't really get the kill, right? You just get the down, then the teammate gets them up, and this will go back and forth for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, until everyone's forced to move. Is there any benefit into getting that down, like trying to get the headshot and the guy peeking, even though he'll just get the revive? I mean, is there any benefit to that?
There is, believe it or not. At first, I thought there wasn't really much point, as you're just exposing yourself for not really much reason, and you're risking yourself to shots. But the reason you do it is firstly to put them under a bit of pressure, but more primarily is to get rid of their helmets. And if you shoot their helmets off, they're a lot easier to sort of kill later on if you have to shoot them, because usually in PUBG, maybe a bit of leeway here and there, a bullet to the head, one bullet would take you down if you have no helmet. If you've got a helmet, obviously it's different, but if you take that helmet off while you're having this sort of struggle between compound to compound, that can really help you, as well as just sort of consuming their meds and again being put under a bit of pressure, and making them sort of maybe make mistakes because of this pressure. That's what we sort of see.
All right, so pretty much you're always gonna take that shot, regardless, just to get the helmet knock or just consume the meds. Right, that's fair. That's fair. So you're in the compound. Another squad's in the compound. You guys have been exchanging shots, right? Next circle pops. both of you guys have to move. What's the game plan there? What's the game plan? What's the first thing that you guys think of and have to pretty much act on? You're following my scenario, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So in that scenario, what we would typically do is say, right, we've shot them enough. We've got to go to the circle. And as soon as it hits, depending on where the circle is, how far it is, we get in the UAZs, the Dacias, the bikes, as many cars as we've got. Hopefully, more cars, the better. And we just go. We just get out of there as fast as we possibly can. We do not waste any time. We don't bother exchanging any loot. We just go. We just do not waste any time. Because if you get to the circle before them, you can kill them while they're getting into the circle. However, sometimes you will be in situations where this happens. You won't be able to leave instantly because there may be another team shooting at you or something else has happened. And in that case, you wait to the last second and then you move in with cars.
All right. So very situational.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens quite often, a lot of times too. And I actually see both those squads pretty much getting taken out by a squad that has the positioning on them already. Very RNG game at some moments, and there's also things to combat that RNG factor. What's like one thing that Team Gates EU does to maybe combat the RNG factors of the game? Is there a particular strategy that you guys tend to go to? I mean, besides just centering?
Centering's a really, really good way to sort of combat some of the RNG aspect.
Is there anything else though? Like anything else that could maybe help you guys? It's a tough question. It's a tough question.
Because the RNG aspect is really an underpinning factor of the game and really sort of puts you in. I think to reply to that question, I would just say it's extremely situational because every game's different in PUBG. There is no one way of doing things or another way of doing things. It's just very situational. So for instance, one time you might be prone in a field waiting to go to the circle. Another time you may have all the loot in the world and you're sitting in a 3-story compound shooting at people. It's very, very situational. So in terms of combating the RNG aspect of the game, actually now it springs to mind, one thing I would do, and obviously this is a bit of a cheesy sort of thing to do, but it gets you placement, is going into the water.
Oh, man.
That's what I would say. If we had to get the placement, we would just get and say there was like one guy left or two guys left in our team, or something that happened which has caused us to think this. We would just get our cars and just drive over the cliff into the water and just stay underwater for as long as we possibly can.
Okay. I mean, that's fair to say. We have lots of circles that sometimes even have 75% water. And, a lot of the viewers, they sit here, they joke, they kid. But at the end of the day, it's for the placements. Now, talking about water, it's been confirmed. I know for a fact that they're working on water penetration for the bullets. When this does become a factor in our game, is this strategy going to be changed? Is it going to be different? Are we going to see less people going into the water? How's that mindset going to look at? Because right now you're thinking, okay, we're down a man, maybe even 2 men. Let's go in the water, go for higher placements. But knowing that bullet penetration is a factor, does that change any of that?
I think it's a bit of a problem with the map design because a lot of the map is primarily water, and depending on if they decide to change the circles or not, because obviously, as you've said, there's 75% water circles at times.
Yeah.
It's going to be very, very difficult. I potentially think it will just be more of a bloodbath in the fact that everyone's actually going to be on land now because they don't want to go in the water and they're just an easy kill. And so that means maybe more gunfights, but more of a sort of, clusterfuck, if you would.
All right.
But I feel just with the map design, it makes things a lot more sort of restricted in what you can do because the water, I don't like the way sort of the water, you can't shoot through it. It was like that in Arma 3 Battle Royale. You just could not shoot through the water. I think PlayerUnknown decided to put the same factor into PUBG from his mod. But yeah, it's again, it's very sort of very tough question to answer, because if we were in that situation, we would probably edge our bets on staying out the water and just fighting, and possibly using cars and natural cover and houses, like you would more natural cover, I would say, and your actual cars to combat other people and fight.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess we'll just have to see when that day comes and see how the squads actually, react to it. Have you had a chance to test out the test server, by the way? Just
I haven't, no, unfortunately not.
All right, so before we're almost done. Just a couple more questions. So we know it's vaulting, all that stuff is in the test server. The ability to like hop over walls, climb through walls, and kind of have the climbing animation through the windows. Do you see this changing the game at all? The fact of being able to like hop over one of these walls. I mean, it's a cool feature, but I don't know if personally, I don't know if this is going to be a game changer. What do you think?
Well, I mean, the only thing I can sort of think of is that people may be able to reach higher places in terms of buildings and rooftops and that kind of thing, using the vaulting mechanism. Okay. So that gives them a higher sort of field of view to fight more people and to sort of maybe get better angles on certain like enemies. But I feel with the vaulting, I think it's more of a sort of, a cool feature more than anything else. I don't think it will really affect competitive gameplay that much. However, it would affect it sort of getting higher, possibly being more exposed in certain places, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah, because I'm always sitting here wondering, as far as the competitive gameplay goes. Now, last question, then we'll wrap this up. Like I mentioned, made a couple mentions of it. IEM, this weekend. So I want to get your opinion as a team captain for Team Gates EU. Pretty much, maybe if you could, top three, man, top three. Can you list that for me? Is that too tough? I mean,
I can.
I'm gonna say Digital Chaos is probably in there just because you've been talking about him a lot.
Oh yeah.
But top three, give me top three, man. Prediction. I won't hold you to it. Maybe I will. I don't know. But top three.
I mean, as I said, they're all exceptionally good teams who have gotten into IEM. I think just due to the absolute consistency of the team in general, Gorilla Core, as I know now, FaZe are definitely got to be in the top three. It depends how they perform from sort of just, sitting in their homes playing to a more tournament LAN atmosphere. If they change, then, that may affect things. But if they perform to the level that they usually do, they've definitely got a good chance of getting a top three. Yeah. I also think TSM have a very, very good chance, not just because, I'm a big fanboy of Break and sort of the TSM squad, but I just think they've got a solid chance, just to tactical awareness and things like that. They know what they're doing, and they've performed at LAN tournaments before, so they've got that sort of experience. And I also would say potentially Digital Chaos. They're a consistent team. They got the most top 10s in Awesome. I've played with Ewan Hardcore myself before. He's an exceptional player, really nice guy. They're all very nice guys, and they've got a really solid chance at doing well. But yeah, I would say that's my sort of top three: TSM, FaZe, and Team Digital Chaos. They've all got a decent chance of performing well. The other teams, they do as well, but I don't think they're as consistent as them.
No, pretty solid top three. Yeah, it's not really no complaints on my part. Now, before I let you go, give the viewers your type of information. I don't know if you're a streamer, your Twitch, your Twitter, your Instagram, whatever you're into. Let them know how they can find you, how they can contact you, or whatnot.
So my Twitter's at TheProneWarrior. My Twitch is for TheProneWarrior. I stream not that much, but I try and stream when I can. Team Gates, obviously on Twitter, find them quite easily. That's about it, really.
All right, and I'm gonna be out here waiting for you guys to break into that contender series, because those are when the games start getting streamed for PUBG Online. Right now, it's a grind out there in the open series. all these squads, all these different strategies. You just never know exactly what's going to happen every match. And just the simple fact that you guys are consistently placing top 10, that's a great start. And you guys have clear goals. So I'm really digging that. I like that. And I predict you guys will get to Contender Series before you know it. And I'll be over here actually watching your gameplay. I appreciate you taking the time again, joining me this evening.
Thank you.
And if you want to say anything else before we go, but thank you, man. I appreciate it.
No, all I've got to say is thank you for the opportunity and this sort of interview. And thank you for having me.
All right, this has been Mustache Dave, After Hours with Mustache Dave, joined this evening by TheProneWarrior. You guys have a good night.